Hey guys, it's Untitled, and bring on round 3 of my love for the Final Fantasy XI artifact gear. This time White Mage, just beautiful, and one of my favorites, Thief. Now I didn't level a White Mage myself, but was blessed or cursed with a couple of friends who'd capped it out, and always had a soft spot for its red and white styling because of the Final Fantasy IX reference with Dagger's escape route. I mean, I know it's like a reference to the Final Fantasy White Mage gear in general, but that was my first experience with it because Final Fantasy IX was my first introduction to the series. Now Thief on the other hand was one of my favorite jobs ever, and probably my best geared 75 for a long time. Ever since I saw my first Dancing Edge, I knew it had to be mine, and once I'd done my own Viper Bite for the first time with Sneak Attack and Trick Attack comboed, I was hooked. One of the few fond memories of Guardless Citadel I have, but let's get into what we're all here for, the artifact gear. So we'll start with White Mage, which was a bit of a struggle for me to level, and by a bit of a struggle I mean that getting it up to sub-job status of level 37 was fucking miserable. But eventually I made it and the teletaxiing commenced. 75 White Mages always had a bit of that uniqueness though, that strange allure, that only they had access to the teleports at all times. Only job to get raise 2 or even raise 3, at least back in 75. Plus, you'd always see some White Mages that like deck themselves out in the weird, like most damage dealing gear they could possibly find and deal out some sick Hexa strikes like way deep down in like Taramurai Canal. It was always some random place. You're like, what is this White Mage doing out here kicking ass? Hexa strike was weird too because only White Mage got it, and it was pretty cool. And it was like on club, which also nobody used. There's a lot of weird mysteries surrounded the White Mage. The White Mage coffers weren't the worst by any means. I mean, Bideau was far from the worst, and if I have to mention how easy Crawler's Nest was one more time, I'm gonna kill myself. But seriously, it was so easy. You always already had the key. And sure, it had Guardless Citadel, but White Mage could usually even re-raise themselves to make wandering around the dangerous halls of that shithole a little teensy bit safer. But the artifact, well, it's a tough call. I mean, it follows the same basic formula as a Black Mage artifact, but obviously White Mage is very different from Black Mage. So the boots are 20% interrupting rate down, which is pretty silly. I mean, some days you're like trying to get a cure off on yourself because the tank lost hate or some other crazy scenario, and those boots are the difference between that cure or death. Great, they helped, but for the most part, who cares? Some plus mind boots or minus enmity would serve you better. MP plus 10 isn't terrible though. The head though is fantastic with plus 4 mind, minus 1 enmity, and MP plus 13. It was hard to argue a reason not to wear it. I don't know if people wore something else, but I love this thing. Some did tend to call it like the condom cap, but I liked it. I thought it looked really cool. The pants are where we start to get a little bit debatable, which is a shame because they were sweet looking. The MP plus 15 and MP minus 1 are great, can't complain. And the Divine Skill plus 15 is amazing for that one time you cast Holy in like 10 years. I mean, that's just it. The Divine Magic White Mage has access to was never, ever worth the MP cost in an actual party. White Mage's job was to make sure it had enough MP to keep up a constant stream of curing for as many enemies as the party could bring in. Rarely, if ever, did this translate to a quick banish here and there. I mean, it happened, but it just usually wasn't the main thing. But still, nice for soloing. And, you know, Banish's biggest problem was that it cost a lot of MP. Otherwise, it wasn't that bad. The body, thankfully, was pretty much unanimously loved. I mean, the minus 4 enmity was enough to encourage it being worn full-time by itself, and the plus 15 enfeebling magic could be a saving grace when you didn't have a red mage in the party. Still being able to land a paralyzed or blind could save quite a bit of MP in the long run, and sometimes you just couldn't get a red mage. I mean, Bard and White Mage could still be a damn good combo, and sometimes better. Sorry, red mage buds, but it was delicious. Leaving us, of course, with the hands. Plus 15 healing magic skill and minus 4 enmity. Still the same benefits on the minus 4 enmity. That's sweet. But the healing magic is not as amazing as it could be. If I'm remembering correctly, healing magic only helped up until the soft cap for cures, not including the, like, I think Kursna was affected by it, meaning 90% of the time it didn't really do anything. You were already curing at max. I mean, you didn't have to land a Paralinia, you would just Paralinia. And if your cures are copped out, only mind is going to help you at that point. I mean, White Mages, correct me if I'm wrong, but you don't have to land a cure, you're just going to hit it. Pretty sure mind was the king around these parts. Now, that's a different story if you're casting like Cure 5s on some undead, because apparently healing magic skill was also super important there. But again, when? When is that happening? But who cares about that maybe this, maybe that gear of White Mage, because next is one of my favorites, showing off just enough midriff to make my Tar question his eating habits, the Rogue set. Thief was one of those rarities in MMORPGs that could just do things in the rest of the game that other players only dreamed of. Like, not combat related stuff, not travel, but weird, unique, awesome stuff. Like stealing glorious treasure from goblin pouches, or like ripping minuscule amounts of gil from their purses. Thief tools could unlock treasure chests without a key. In fact, robbing Faye and Evolved's life belts was how I made enough money to buy a scorpion harness way back. And above all, the treasure hunter trait, argued for years and never fully understood, treasure hunter straight up improved drop rates on items in a game where item drops were basically everything. Except no one knew how, or like if at all, items were affected. It was super weird. No one really understood how it worked. Thief just had so much mystery around it, and tales of riches and earning money while partying. It all just sounded so cool. Yeah, obviously has to support some of these stranger thiefiness things. And the first piece, the hands, do not disappoint. +3 dex was basically the never stops giving for Thief, providing critical hit rate, accuracy, was the main modifier for a few weapon skills, and also the main modifier for increasing damage on sneak attack. Bring on the dex. They also provided steel +1, which was nice, I guess. I think that improved accuracy on steel. Okay. No one complains. Now, Thief had the rare opportunity to just pick the coffers for the artifact items, but to be honest, I never even tried. At that point, I had a 70+ summoner I could farm for keys with, and it usually was faster. I mean, if you failed to pick, it wasn't a guarantee. So, like, you'd get a mimic, and then you die, and then you have to find the coffer again. It just kind of sucked. Chest is one thing, but the coffers were a bit dicier. The hands came from Devoy, one of the better options for coffers for sure. The pants were from Castle Astroja's coffers, which we've discussed as being so annoying. But with Flea and Hide and some other tricks, it wasn't quite as bad getting around. Castle's Vault Bailey's was last, which again is annoying, but overall Thief got pretty lucky with the coffer spots. I really don't remember complaining that much. But back to the artifact. The hat was so cool looking. Like, it had this little hood with some shit covering your ears, and the ears actually like popped out to the side, and the hood shape, colors, and everything for Tartar. It seemed so sneaky, but it sucked. It was awful. +5 int for who? Who's using that int? I'm pretty sure it spawned a ton of debates about whether or not intelligence was a modifier for steel or mug or something, because why else would it be on the hat? But other than that, bearing skill +10 wasn't enough to save it from being anything other than a swap in piece for steals, because it also had +1 steel. Next, the pants. Oh my god, I loved the look of those pants. Want to know my favorite pants now in Final Fantasy XI? The rose culottes. They're just so cool, and the green went so well with the scorpion harness that was bright red. Plus, you have to remember that Thief until that point was wearing like Subligar like all the time. But fortunately, it had +4 agility, which was the modifier for trick attack. I mean, did that mean I should wear it full time? No. Did I? Yes, screw Subligar, it looked awful. I could only swap so many pieces of gear in one macro anyway, so I always made the argument like, oh, the pants are that extra piece, I can't swap, I'd have to use another macro, and that's the... Oh yeah, they also had steel +1. The body was neat, it looked pretty cool, though that belly popping out thing was weird as a dar. +3 strength I'll never complain about, but on Thief it wasn't really super exciting. Increases high duration is the only reason you'd keep this puppy in your inventory, especially with the scorpion artist being available, but how often do you even use hide anyway? Not often. I'll tell you one thing, it's awesome on goblins. Anything else that can't smell you or hear you. Finally, the moment you've all been waiting for, the boots. So earlier when I was talking about weird stuff Thief only could do, Flea was one of those things. Final Fantasy XI was slow. It was a slow game with slow movement. I don't know how to properly convey it, but they sped up walking movement in an update by like 25 to 50% or something like a while back. That's what you're seeing in all my videos. Like, that is improved. That is fast. It used to be so slow. Flea was this glorious release from that slow speed, and a reason that large camps and notorious monsters were so fun as Thief, because you could just like sprint across the whole camp to get to the other side. Why the long-winded discussion on how awesome Flea is? Because the boots increased Flea's duration, sending you even further into the unknown at a breakneck pace. So awesome. It also did 3 decks, which was decent, but boots had a lot of options, including the ever-amazing leaping boots. Oh, and it also had +steel, because how could you not have a little more +steel? Maybe I'm remembering the Thief artifact being a little more useful than it actually was, but it was cool looking and I was so happy to get it. Anyways guys, that's it for Thief and White Mage, 2 of my favorite visual sets, and definitely unique in their stats and applications. Let me know what you guys thought about these 2 artifact sets in the comments, and whether or not I'm totally wrong about the White Mage AF. Frankly, I saw a lot of people in the set full time because, I mean, honestly, I don't think it really seemed to affect their day-to-day partying too much. A cure is a cure. And if you've got to save some money so you can afford those spells, do it. Whatever. If you didn't catch it in my last video, though, I am going on vacation for a week. But when I get back, actually onto the Final Fantasy XI, like, jobs. The jobs you had to earn at level 30, which is where shit gets really exciting. I'm super pumped for a lot of those. A lot of those are my favorites. So have a good week, everybody, and I'll see you when I get back. As always, guys, thanks for watching. If you haven't already, you should totally think about subscribing. I've got videos coming out twice a week, and if you like this one, there's at least a chance you'll like some of the others that are very similar to this, so live dangerously. Let me know what you guys thought about the video in the comments and other videos you'd like to see. And finally, follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and Huntin for Games to keep up with all the latest stuff. See ya.